E. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Chris here, and I thought I would share with you part 3 of Entre Dos Aguas, my series on the rhythm, the underlying foundation of the entire piece. So now we are going to get to this alzapúa part, which is iconic. It's just a brilliant section of music, and something that's great to learn and impress the neighbors with, okay? So I've got lots of work ahead for you. We're going to start from the very basics for the absolute beginners, and there's going to be plenty for the advanced guitarists as we go through. Make sure to watch the whole video. Let me know if you have any questions along the way, okay? All right, so we're going to start with the chords. Hopefully you have watched part 1 and part 2 of this series. If not, I'm going to put a link up here somewhere, and definitely in the description below. In the description below, there's lots of other resources, so check that out. All right, so the first chord is an E minor chord, 0, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, okay? We already went over this in part 2 of the series. Then D major is the second chord. It's a 4-string chord. We start on the 4th string, 0, open 4th string, 2 on the 3rd string, 3 on the 2nd string, and 2 on the 1st string, 0, 2, 3, 2. That's the D major. Then we're going to go to a C major, but we're going to do a C over G. The next 2 chords were not in part 2 because there are different versions of these chords. So we're going to do a C major, which would be 3, 2, 0, 1, 0, starting from the 5th string. But what we need to do is we need to hit this low G as well. So I prefer to use my pinky. I switch out, instead of my 3rd finger for the 5th string, I use my pinky and then put my 3rd finger here. So it's 3, 3, 2, 0, 1, 0. However, there are a lot of guitarists that keep that 3rd finger there and then go with their pinky on that 3rd fret. All right, so either one that works for you, that's great, okay? Then we're going to go to the B11 over F sharp. So we've kind of used this shape. We had the 2, 1, 2, 0, 0, the B11 in part 2 of the series. 2, starting on the 5th string. 2, 1, 2, 0, 0. But now we need to hit this F sharp in the bass. So what I do is I go like this. I use my middle 2 fingers for that low 2, 2. 1 first fret of the 4th string with my 1st finger, and then the 2nd fret of the 3rd string with my pinky. So this is 2, 2, 1, 2, 0, 0. 2, 2, 1, 2, 0, 0. All right. For the beginners, these last 2 chords, because they're a little different than most beginner chords, make sure you spend a significant amount of time on those 2 chords to get those transitions, because we're going to have to get that transition very, very, very quickly, okay? So just work that until it flows very well, all right? Cool. All right, so now we are going to go phrase by phrase. There's 4 phrases, okay? 1 phrase per chord, where we use the ALZAPUA technique. So what is the ALZAPUA technique? The ALZAPUA technique, from my research, my understanding of the technique, it's a contraction of 2 words. Alzar, to lift, and then pua, which is a pick, like a guitar pick, but we're using our thumb as the pick. And from my understanding, this is a technique kind of taken from oud playing, and where they use that pick and they go like this. And so this is a very similar, once you see that, once you have that visual, I can understand that this is where it came from. It might not be true, but it makes sense because it's very similar. The oud players will usually bend their wrists like this, so they have that angle and they go like this, and that's what we're doing, but with our thumb, just our thumb. So we have the downstroke and the upstroke with our thumb. So why don't we do that? Why don't we just mute the strings with our fret hand, and then we're just going to strum through the strings down, up with our thumb. Now, there are different schools of thought on ALZAPUA, so just look around, check it out. What works for you is what works for you. I personally teach and prefer to have the movement come from, if you hold up your thumb and pretend you're holding up a mug or something and pour the glass out. What you're doing there is you're using a rotation of the wrist. It's called pronation and supination. Pronation and supination. Pronation and supination. And that motion is generated from twisting these two bones in your arm, the ulna and radius. And that, when we use that, I feel it has more strength, it has more power, has more, just has a lot more power to it available to you. So that's what I prefer and teach. However, because of this, it's harder to aim at first and it takes more work. For those of you who want more information on ALZAPUA, please contact me below. I have other resources, so those can be available to you, but just send me that contact info, okay? All right, so we have that. Then what has to happen is, as you have your thumb up, then if you're going to go with the way I do this, you bring your palm towards your body, okay? Now this creates that angle, that proper angle, that you can do this. I am holding my fist in like a light hold there, but you don't have to. You're gonna be able to hold your fingers out too. Right now, to isolate that movement, I highly recommend you keep your fingers in a little bit if this is brand new to you. Again, if this is brand new to you, I wouldn't expect that this particular tutorial is going to be enough for you to get it. If it is, you are awesome, and I congratulate you on your awesomeness, all right? So, but that's, again, you can contact me for other more detailed information. All right, so we have this ALZAPUA, which is the down and upstroke with the thumb, and then what we do is we add single notes in there, okay? So I have done several takes of this video, and I've figured out that the best way is to go phrase by phrase, and so that's what we will start doing. The other thing that we're going to be doing is you're going to hear me add golpes onto my ALZAPUA. That's another layer of difficulty, so if ALZAPUA is new to you, again, I wouldn't add that right now. Just try to work on the proper mechanics of the ALZAPUA, okay? And then get the golpe later. I am going to leave a link up here for my intro to golpe, so you can check that out after we go through this, all right? So the first phrase starts on E minor, okay? We're going to have a recurring pattern here where we play the chord, and then we're going to play the fifth of the chord, okay? So in the E minor chord, the fifth is B, okay? That's the second fret of the fifth string. So we're going to start on the fourth string with our ALZAPUA, okay? And I'm actually just going to play it right now. I have the music in front of me. Speaking of music, if you want the music, all my YouTube Flamenco family gets, I transcribed it, and you have it. It shows you exactly, you know, the which way to go with your ALZAPUA, the down or the upstroke and all that stuff, because you're going to see really quickly. This gets a little confusing. But plus, YouTube Flamenco family members get all my YouTube transcriptions and all that stuff. So check that out. You totally should be a member. I would love you. Virtual hug in advance. Okay, so E minor chord. We're starting on the fourth string. Okay, we're going to have that there. I'm going to do the golpe, but remember, if this is new to you, if the ALZAPUA technique is new to you, I wouldn't do the golpe right now. Just try to work on this and work on the accuracy. Okay, so I'm going to play it. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's the whole phrase. That's phrase 1 over that E minor. Now, I could hear the internal beat, but just so for you, I'm going to I'll play this at 84 beats per minute. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a couple of things technically that we got to talk about. So every time we're going, the down up is those top 4 strings. Okay? The single note is that 5th string. So there's 2 things I want to talk about. The upstroke, that's harder to get all of the strings. Do your best. I get lots of questions as far as how many strings should I hit on the upstroke when we're going on that upstroke of that alzapúa. As many as the final answer is as many as you would like. What I tell my students is that you want to make every choice. That's the ideal, is every choice you make should be a choice. It shouldn't be at the will or at the behest, or there's a fancier or a better word for it, but at the subjugation of your technique. You want to be making choices, okay? So that upstroke, if you hear it, I'm like, oh, I just want to hear and you only want to hear that high E string. Then if you're making a choice and you have the ability to do that other stuff, then great. But really, I would guess that for most people, they're going to be trying to emulate what Paco de Lucia does. He does a pretty good job on that upstroke of hitting most of the strings. So I would do your best on that upstroke to hit most of the strings on the way up, okay? Eventually, you want to be able to hit whatever strings you want or don't want, okay? You want to have complete control over this technique and any technique that you decide to take on to your shoulders, okay? And anyway, so I'm gonna the next thing that I want to talk about, when you play that 5th string, make sure it's a rest stroke and that your thumb is there, that you do not lift your thumb again. Okay, you play that bass note, that melody note, that 2nd fret of the 5th string. Your thumb should stay there. What I see a lot of beginners do is that they would play this, they might even do a rest stroke there, but then they lift again and then start the alzapúa from the air. Okay? Can you do it? Yes, but first of all, it's inefficient. Okay? Second of all, it's potentially dangerous for your thumb. When we're going a downstroke with our thumb, we are going against the grain of our nail. And we have lots of techniques in flamenco. There's lots of times where we have to go from the air and do a downstroke of the thumb, but just recognize the risk, the inherent risk in that motion, that you are going against the grain of that nail. And if you catch it wrong, there's a high probability that you can rip your nail right off. And not just from here, you can rip it down below what's called the quick, yeah? And that is not good, yeah? I've had it happen and it's not great. So minimize that risk by pre-placing it. You have that rest stroke, there's no need to lift it again. So I would just practice that. Practice playing that 5th string and then do the alzapúa, whether or not it's with the golpe. You don't want to see this. It's just there and then it finishes. Okay? That's my highest recommendation. Of course, you can do it. And if you are awesome at it, you're awesome at it. You know, that's awesome, and yay for you for being awesome. I am not that awesome, and so I try to mitigate that risk, okay? Yeah, as I already shared, I'm definitely not that awesome. So, all right. So now we have that whole phrase. Let's do it one more time. 84 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the tricky part is the rhythm, okay? In that we're always doing this down, up, and then that single note rest stroke. But then sometimes this is a down, up, right next to each other with 8th notes. Other times you have to hold it and then play that upstroke, okay? So on those instances, make sure your hand stays there. I'm just delaying it. It's kind of like it gets stuck there, and then I bring that stroke up, okay? All right. That was phrase 1. Now we're going to go to phrase 2. As I mentioned, it's got the root as it plays the chord. And then we're going to, now for this one, actually I'm just going to play it again. 84 beats per minute. Just play it so you can hear it first. 3, 4, and up, 3, 4. There we go. 3, 4. So the 5th in the D is the A, the open A string. So we're going from the chord, the top 4 strings. Okay. So I'm going to play it again. Same notes apply. Make sure that you are after that A string, that you don't lift your thumb again, that you just go directly to the downstroke of that D major chord. And let's do it again, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So hopefully you have that a little bit now. And now we're going to go to the C major, okay? C major over G, the 5. Okay, now we're going to do this one where we're going to go, I got to play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. One more time. There you go. So we start on the 5th string here. How many strings do you get? Try to do your best to get them all, okay? Eventually, if you have a personal artistic choice that you really want to hear just the bordones, the lower ones, or all, just the high ones, that would be hard on the first one because you start from the 5th string. But from there, you might want to, like on the upstrokes, only hear the top strings, okay? All right, so this one, we have that single note. It's 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we rest through on the 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's not easy to count while we're doing this, while I'm playing it. So I'm just going to play it a couple more times. Here we go, at 84 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, very good. And now we're going to get to phrase 4. Okay, now we're going to do this B11 over F sharp, which sounds so scary, but it's not that big of a deal. If you really want to think about it for the beginners, it's like an E major chord, which most beginners, that's one of the first chords you might learn. You just take that up to the low 3 strings up in orientation, and then put your pinky on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So it's a shape that you're familiar with, just you have that pinky on there, okay? We're going to do this. We're going to start on the 5th string. I'm going to play it. 3, 4. So that's the last phrase. Really quickly, at the end, we bail out of the ALZAPUA. Okay? So we do this. And now all of a sudden we're going to do a downstroke with these 3 fingers. And then the last up with our thumb. So, now I mute that last bit. I mute that last bit by simply lifting my left hand, or my fret hand, my left hand, but off the notes, but I don't release it off the strings. Okay, so I remove the pressure and then I kind of lazy up my first finger and my other fingers so that now they're all muted. So I go. That wasn't a very good mute. Just really quick, and then there I actually laid them all across, and then we do 2, 4, 1, 2. And then now we're out into the solo section, and that's another section. Obviously, we had lots of work to do with just this section. So let's just play that last little bit, that last phrase, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I rushed out a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right. So you did it. Those are the 4 phrases, okay? So now let's play the entire thing. We'll keep it at 84 beats. Actually, I'm going to bring it down a little bit, okay? Because now you have to concern yourself with those chord transitions in between. We were just doing phrase by phrase, but now we're doing the whole thing. So let's do this at 76 beats per minute. It's going to be a little slower. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and... go. You want to do that again? Let's work on this again one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have it. Practice it a ton. We were at 72 there. In the actual recording, the original recording, I believe they're at about 184. Yeah, somewhere around there. Okay, that's a lot of difference. A huge gap in tempo. Okay, so take it slow. Get the golpe added and build up real slow. If you have any questions, I encourage you to use my contact form. It's much easier for me to get back to you that way. I do check the comments as much as possible, but that stuff can get away from me a little bit easier than direct contact through my contact form, which the link is below. I'm going to play this whole thing at 184, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there you have it. That's a lot faster. And it feels like a really stark difference when all of a sudden we've been playing it that slow. But that's how he plays it in the actual song. And I hope you've enjoyed the work. I hope you've just had a great time. Please like the video if you like what we did here. Please subscribe. Consider subscribing if you like how I demonstrate things and share information with you. I super appreciate your time. And as a little bit of a token of my gratitude, I have a link below in the description that is the Daily Dozen. And what is the Daily Dozen? It is I have distilled what I consider to be the most essential flamenco guitar techniques into 12 techniques. and I created an exercise program with the recommended exercises and shared that with you. And that's a downloadable PDF. You can grab that right now for free. And basically it has a practice regimen for you to make sure that you don't really have big glaring holes in your technique in flamenco guitar. We have so much to practice in flamenco guitar to be solid flamenco guitarists, and it just helps to have this, what I created, this blueprint. And then you can take that from there, and then whatever you're working on, you can specialize, you can augment it, add some other things that you need to bolster it for a specific piece in your repertoire that you're working on, or go from there, okay? But now you have a solid base. You will have a solid base with that daily dozen, and you'll be able to practice and know that you're going to be making consistent gains and practicing the right stuff. And I talk about what to do, how to play it, all that stuff. But it's downloadable PDF. Go grab it right now. Thanks again for watching. I hope you had a great time. This was awesome going through this. I hope to hear from you. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Get to practicing. Bye-bye.